Scott Hylton, Scott Talks. Course non-biased review of Tides of Fire by James Rollins, the 17th Sigma Force book. Although when you check the notes, it calls it book 23. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But I've already listened to Arkangle. I'm a little dyslexic, so I always tend to do the audiobooks. Better for me. So if you know anyone that has a hard time reading, just recommend audiobooks. They get the joy and the greatness of all that. I've got 2 credits left. I used the 1-year membership from Audible, and now I just cherry pick books I want. I bought those extra credits, so I've still got 2 of the bought credits left, and I've got a library full of good stuff. I no longer qualify for the plus free books, but that's okay, because I can get LibriVox, which has free books. I can get the public libraries, free books, audiobooks, and just go to town. No big deal. It's just not a big deal. And James Rollins' book is just, I already had cheated out of Arkangle book 18. I've already listened to. So we're getting this. Book 17 is a deal. A lot of times you look at the price of the year for Audible, and let's say if you do Apple's version of Audible, you pay a little more because of the Apple tax. Some of you know about. But likely you pay $159 for 12 credits, and the plus stuff and all that extra stuff. You get 12 credits of any books. You just pick a book, cherry pick a book, boo, 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 and you get a book. And that amounts to about $13.33 per book. So if you put a lot of books on your wish list, and that 1 year runs out and those 12 credits run out, and then you turn around and buy $59.99 and get 5 credits, that's $11.99 a book. Oh, that's better than having the plus. So you get 3 to 5 credits usually once you've run out. And you've been a member, so they like you. And you cherry picked your books, and you can go into different things like Libby, so your public library, and borrow a book for free. You go to Hoopla, get a book for free, public library card, get a card at the library, okay? LibriVox, LibriVox, free. Classic books in public domain, free, no problem. Other people are reading, not professionals. There are other people like you and me are reading the book, but it does the job. Audible and Apple both have audiobooks you can buy. The thing with Audible is you put it on the wish list. They have sales. If the price, I paid $59.99, so that averages to about $11.99 a book. If the price of the book on sale is less than $11.99, you pay for the book. Get a great deal, boom, pay for the book. My next book I got really cheap, which hopefully doesn't, Sunrise on the Reaping, the next Hunger Games book, will be my next book. Got it for $3 or $4, I think, or something like that. I mean, it was really cheap, and I was like, wow, I'll take it, and I'll make it my next book. What a deal. But I'd already done the one James Rollins book, and then I turned around and got a bit of a deal on this one, and I said, sure, I'll take it. So there were spoilers, because the end of this book 17 is, let's see what's coming for book 18. And I'm like, oh, I've already had 18. Yeah. And you know about the characters, and you know about what, and you're like, oh. But it's still a great book. Rollins is so good. And in this book, he talks about the Aboriginal people, the myths, the legends. He brings science, religion, myth, combines it all into world-ending story that Sigma Force must be there to help. And Sigma Force director Peter Crow sends his main people in to stop this world-ending event, a possible catastrophe. There's why they haven't turned these books into movies. Amazon and Apple, you guys could spend a little money, do it like Reacher. You know, they cherry pick a book and do the whole book as one long season of Reacher. And, you know, spend a little money, and instead of just doing some kind of action adventure 2-hour movie that chops the book up into little pieces, you do the whole thing as a little mini series, and then you cherry pick another book and you set it up and do another one. And you know, because Rollins has a pretty big budget sounding on world-ending events, you know, like a Bond novel or something. You know, it's into the world stuff, a lot of action and adventure, and he bases so much on fact. I mean, he even joked at the end, you will get to see, he talks about what's based on fact, what's based on fiction, the real stories, the Aboriginal people, the Phoebus, was it? The giant ball that hit the Earth that could have formed the moon and blew out and left behind traces of itself in the shell of the Earth, that we have found odd shell of something in the Earth and possibly on the moon, and all that story and the science behind the things that we saw with squids and things in the book, and the strange, you know, how scientists are a little puzzled. Where did squids come in the evolutionary chain? Could they be more of an extraterrestrial origin of their DNA? Maybe some silicon and carbon thing going on there, and it was interesting. It's an interesting, great story. And the volcano, and he talks about one of the films he saw when he was a young boy about a big volcano. I can't remember that. Max von Sydow, I think, was in it. And he said it left an impression on him, and he made sure that that volcano eruption was part of his story, that he described the terror and the things that could happen in world-ending events that could have blocked out the sun and caused the extinction of most of the human race. You add all that up into a great adventure story, and he talks about it at the end, and the narrator, you know, just does such a great job of bringing the action to the forefront. And it was still great. I'm still a fanboy. I love how he blends that touch of religion, a touch of scientific fact, just a touch of fabrication, a touch of this, a touch of that, real events, real people, real places. He talks at the very end, after you've read it, enjoyed the book, this is where I based this on, this is what I based this on, this is actual fact, this is actual fact, this needs more research, but it could be this, and these are actual places, and blah, 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 and this is an actual military thing that is happening and testing, and you're like, oh wow, this is cool. So I loved it, of course I loved it, and I loved Arkangle, the next book, and I look forward to you know, the Hunger Games book. It'll be cool. And managing my Audible account, you know, I could have probably borrowed it from the library eventually. They only get so many copies, so they digitally will let you borrow it, and you can renew and renew. You know, if you do it in time, you can renew. It's not a big deal. So I encourage you, if you're, you know, if you have trouble reading a lot of books and stuff, get Audible, get it, enjoy it, become a member, and then you can cherry pick and put a lot on your wish, because they're always putting books on sale. They have, you know, they may not fall below that $11, $12, $13 that you may go. I would get the credit. I would buy it with cash, because if suddenly it's $10, would you go? Maybe they'll put it on sale even more. Maybe I can get it for $8 or $7, you know, like that. Or I could just get it from, if it's an older book, I can get it from the library. Nobody's reading that, right? Right? Yeah, get my Libby subscription going. But I encourage you to try some of James Rollins. James is just great stuff. He had a fantasy series he did. It wasn't Sigma Force. And I was not into that as much. I was like, okay, I read it, listened to it, and it was all right. I was like, okay. But his Sigma Force books, I love them. Anything related to the Sigma Force, the action, the adventure, the science, the fact, the slight fiction, or he called it the fabric of fabrication. I was like, yeah, it's kind of, how much of it's fabrication? It's just a little, it's surprisingly a little bit, but he stitches it all together, and then pulls it into the story. And I'd like to see these stories brought to life, by Apple, Amazon, just someone with some money that would do a decent job with it. And they could do movies, they could. But it would be easier to do this series these days, in the days of streaming, to bring these characters to life. And I think we would all sit back and love it. It'd be a great James Bondish-like action adventure thing that we could all enjoy. We have Sigma Force out there. Yeah. But I loved it, of course. Fanboy. You're not going to get another kind of review, are you? But I recommend all of you get it. Get your Tide to Fire. And then you can get Arkangle right after that. Because they have this happens, and it's going to bring everybody from Sigma Force together for the next Arkangle. And it did. It even implies Tucker and Kane could be an Arkangle, the dog. Yes, he is. So, and possibly another dog. Possibly. You never know. Maybe they're going to have a second doggy. Yeah, you never know. Look at all these audiobooks they could get. So, oh yeah. There are so many great audiobooks, different writers and different things. So I highly encourage you to go back one book. It's fun because it does kind of got the characters established, and then it leads into Arkangle. And then you can have Arkangle. So what we do with streaming sometimes, we got behind on NCIS. Get the last season, wrap it up, and the new season was starting, start the new season. And then you're in those last two seasons, things are happening, and you're keeping up with it again for all those years. So, like and subscribe if you enjoyed. You know the deal. Share, like, subscribe. Have a good day.